What's up, Browns fans? This is Brad Moneymaker, and we had some good free agent signings today. We had Ethan Pocic. We had, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try, so I'm going to call him the double big O. And we signed Dalvin Tomlinson. And we kept Takitaki as well. So far, so good. We'll see what else comes to be. I hope you guys have an awesome day and you're listening to the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off. Woo! Roof, roof.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sorry, I've been missing a lot of episodes lately, so I'm out of practice. As you can see, coming to you guys virtual. We've been trying to pump out a lot more content lately, and so it's tough to get in the studio every time, but we've had a fun first few days as a free agency. We kind of wanted to give you guys a quick recap of all our thoughts of who we've kept so far and who we've signed. Before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. We've been, like I said, we're pumping out a lot more content. You don't want to miss any of it. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. We are currently running a contest. Josh, you know the details of this contest better than I do. You want to give them the deets real quick?
Yeah, sure. So all you have to do is go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, and or subscribe and tap the notification bell on YouTube. Take a screenshot of any or all three of those actions that you've done, and you can go to thedawgspodcast.com/win. There's a place right there to upload those screenshots, or you can just email them to bark, B-A-R-K, at thedawgspodcast.com. And you do all three of those, you get 3 entries into the contest. We're going to draw a winner each month the rest of this year. So if you enter now, you have a chance to win every month from here till the end of the year. So my suggestion would be enter now. Don't wait till, September, because you got fewer months for a chance to win.
It's a pretty awesome contest, guys. It's super easy for you guys. And if you haven't seen our Brownie the Elf podcaster shirt, it's a pretty sweet shirt. I think a lot of people like it, so go check that out. Get yourself a free one. It's super easy. It helps spread the awareness for the show. So that's a good contest for you guys. We're excited to be doing it for all you guys. But lastly, before we get into the episode, I just want to remind you to go to jointhedawgs.com. Become an official Dog Pack member on our Patreon page. You get an extra episode every week, which is crazy because we're putting out all these episodes already. So just think about seeing us even more. We're just always in your ears, in your head, and in your hearts. You get access to the private Discord. You just get to hang out with Browns fans from all over the world 24/7. So if that's something that interests you, jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. Like I mentioned in the open, we've had a pretty active free agency period so far. I know after about the first 12 hours, people were kind of starting to hit the panic button, like, oh my God, we're not going to sign anybody. All these people that we had kind of been keeping our eye on were coming off the board. I think the last one that people were really kind of hoping for was Jones, who ended up in Seattle. And it was like, we didn't get anybody we wanted. And then just a few hours later, we get our first big signing of the free agency period with defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. And then it starts to come out, this was our guy all along. This is who we were looking for. And he actually is graded way better than Jones on PFF. Jones was kind of he's maybe a little bit more of a pass rusher, but we don't need a pass rushing interior defensive line. We need a guy who's going to eat blocks and stop the run, that's going to allow Miles and our newly signed edge rusher to get after the quarterback. So to me, this guy's a perfect fit for Jim Schwartz defense.
Yeah, Tomlinson was, like you said, not designated as like a pass rush specialist, but he's very good at still getting pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, and I just now remembered we were going to talk about the people we kept and then go into the people we signed, so I'm calling an audible. We're going to talk about the people we signed first. This is what happens when you miss episodes. You get out of practice. I was a polished podcast host for 3.5 years. I miss a couple weeks, and it's like I'm back at week 1. So give me a break, guys. No, this guy, he had 2.5 sacks, 19 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, but it's just, he plays with a kind of a nastiness. If you go and watch some of his like highlight tapes and stuff, he just We didn't have an interior defensive lineman like this on the roster last year.
Nope.
John, Justin, do you guys like the signing? You're very quiet.
I do like the signing. I like it a lot. We need a lot of help on the interior defensive line. I mean, how could you go wrong? Didn't we have like the worst and second worst interior defensive linemen last year?
Yeah, I think 3 of our interior D linemen were 2 of them were the worst and second worst, and the other one wasn't far away from like the bottom 20. We were about as bad as you could be on the interior last year.
That was the plan going into last year. That was Joe Wood's plan.
No, I'll cut him some slack. I think that was Andrew Berry's plan for some reason, and it killed us. So it seems like Berry's kind of learning from his mistakes. He can't just be soft up the middle. It's almost like Jim Schwartz came in and was like, guys, what are we doing here? Well, like, this isn't how you build a defense.
Well, I agree with that. I think it is when Jim Schwartz came in. So I think Schwartz over Woods has a little bit of maybe a head on his shoulders to understand what kind of players we need to go out there and get.
Well, he comes with Super Bowl pedigree, been doing it a lot longer than Joe Woods has, so he might have a little bit more pull in Andrew Berry's ear. And as I said, it doesn't hurt that Jim Schwartz gets to take over a defense that was so bad in the run last year that Andrew Berry couldn't ignore it.
That's true.
So it had to get changed.
We kind of talked about it too, leading right after Jim Schwartz got hired, that he's always had that guy that's kind of nasty, that he's anchored in the middle, whether it was in Dominican Sue or Hainsworth back with Tennessee. So do I think that this is somebody that they can build around? Absolutely. I think that this just helps out everybody else on the defensive line too. Are we going to be able to just get gashed up the middle now? It's hard to say. I didn't think we were going to be that bad last year. And we were. So it's tough to say that the second 3 days of, free agency, hey, are we able to stop the run now? Are we better? I believe we're better. Way better.
I think this helps a guy, not only like Miles. Obviously, we always want to help Miles out as much as we can, get solo matchups on the outside and stuff like that. I think this helps a guy like Perion Winfrey. Well, one, it's a guy who comes in, kind of shows him how to be a pro. The biggest problem with Perion last year was he just didn't seem to have his head on straight. We saw towards the end of the year, once he kind of put some of the maturity issues behind him, it seemed like the last month or so of the season, he started to play pretty well. How well is he going to play now with a full off season? Hopefully the maturity issues are no longer a problem, and he's got a guy playing next to him who's eating double teams. And now Perion's going to get one-on-one matchups on the interior with guys he's more athletic than. I mean, I don't know if Perion's going to be a starter, but I would assume he's going to be he's going to get a lot of snaps. And I just think it helps whoever's going to play opposite this guy on the interior is going to get a lot more one-on-one matchups because double teams are going to be going this guy's way.
That's a good point. It's not the first time in the offseason I got really excited about somebody's potential, and it didn't end up happening. So, we'll see what actually happens.
I do want to preface this episode that I'm trying really hard not to get too hyped about how we look on paper, because we've been the paper champs before, and it comes back to bite us in the butt every time. So yep. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. I will say is the free agency philosophy this year has kind of seemed we're looking for very solid pros, people who can play at a high level, and we didn't have to overpay for them. And they're not just names. You know what I mean? These are guys who have produced at a high level, but they might not be household names. And they're kind of grinders, under the radar type players. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I can't sit up here on this episode and say I'm not going to talk about top 5 rosters. I'm not going to talk about any of that, because we've done that before, and we finished with 5-6 wins.
Make them earn it.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
I crowned them for years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think right now the best thing to do is just look at the fit. Does the player fit what Jim Schwartz came in here wanting to do? And, I would argue that most of these guys, absolutely. And I think Dalvin Cook for sure fits what he's trying to do. So I think you can be excited about that. You can be excited that we're targeting guys intentionally with a purpose. And like you said, Blake, not overpaying, because, you mentioned the PFF grades, and actually Javon Hargrave was, I believe, the 11th ranked defensive tackle last year. and he went for $21 million to San Francisco, and Tomlinson was 14. He was only 3 spots lower rank-wise than Hargrave, and we got him for $7 million less.
Yep.
Go ahead, buddy.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I've just been reading a lot too that people feel like we kind of overpaid also. Like we kind of reached really. To me, I don't feel like we reached. I feel like that was our biggest spend, but I feel like it addressed potentially our biggest need. Like, to me, it's our biggest need. We had to get better interior.
For sure.
Draymond Jones went for 17 to Seattle, and Zach Allen went to Denver for 16. The defensive tackle market was hot this year.
For sure. Absolutely.
So I think we did not overspend compared to what the market was demanding.
And it's not our money. I hate. I understand, like, people talk about the money and stuff, but if it this year proved anything, the money is not. It's insignificant at the end of the day in terms of salary cap. It might matter for a year or two down the road, but we can kick this can down the road as long as we need to, basically. And then we might have to pay the piper for a year or two, but to keep your window open, I mean, come on. People were talking about Deshaun's cap hit. We're not going to be able to do anything. We're never going to be able to sign players. We don't have any picks. We addressed 3 of our biggest needs in free agency with high quality players this year. Like, the money thing is just, I'm not a GM, so it's irrelevant to me. Like, did you get a high level player that fits your team scheme and culture? Then you didn't overpay.
This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Spring is in the air, and that can only mean one thing: spring grilling. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to spring into something delicious with their semi-annual sale. With 50% off site-wide, grab all your favorites like perfectly aged, tender steaks, ocean fresh seafood, juicy burgers, incredible air-chilled chicken, and decadent desserts. Plus, when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS at checkout, you'll get an extra $30 off your order. It's the perfect way to get fired up and spring into something special. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com, use code DAWGS at checkout. Take advantage of this deal right now. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away, and you're going to want to hurry because 50% off site-wide is only happening for a limited time. So don't miss your chance to save big right now. Visit omahasteaks.com, use code DAWGS, DAWGS at checkout. Get that additional $30 off when you shop their semi-annual sale today. Minimum order may be required. This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Ready for the underdogs, the upsets, and the unbelievable action from DraftKings Sportsbook? The biggest tournament in college basketball is here. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on college hoops and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. Go to the app, opt in, and place a no-sweat bet this weekend. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet back up to $10. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Sign up with code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Win or lose, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
So that's going to take us into the next guy we signed, Juan Thornhill, safety, 2-time Super Bowl champion out of Kansas City. I know the Chiefs didn't want to let this, like, they didn't want to, Chiefs fans didn't want to lose this guy.
Right.
We have a guy in the Patreon who's friends with a Chiefs fan, and he was very hurt by us snagging this guy away from them. And I know, Josh, you put a video out about him, but didn't he grade higher than Jesse Bates?
He did. Let me pull up my notes on him. Let's see. He graded at a 72.7, which was 20th overall. Out of the eligible safeties, Bates was a 71.9. He was 24th. So we got the higher graded safety for $9 million less.
Which is awesome. And it kind of, we had Quincy on, it was last week or the week before, and he talked about how he didn't necessarily thought Bates fit the system because he's kind of like a go for it all kind of player. And, you know, he might get a pick, but then he was going to give up the touchdown also. And he said he kind of wanted that free safety that was a little boring, that was just going to come out and play the position the way you needed it to and kind of be your safety lid at the back end of your defense. I feel like that's what we got. I feel like he called that 100%.
He did. Bates is higher as far as his run defense grade, quite a bit higher. But that kind of fits into what you just said about him, because as far as the pass coverage, Bates, he's only a 64.9, and that was 50th in the league last year. Thornhill was 12th overall at 75.2.
Well, and we don't need him to be the tackling
Correct.
safety. That's what Grant Delpit is here.
Not one of those. Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we need a guy who's not going to have busted coverages in the back end. We need a guy who can match up with some receivers from time to time. And that way so not only do we get some more pass coverage in the back end with this guy, now Grant Delpit is freed up to do what Grant Delpit does.
Yep.
So this is a home run move by Andrew Berry, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
I agree with you 100%. So far, this is my favorite signing because I feel like we stole him. I know you don't care about the money, dog. I love it. Like, I feel like when I look at the contract and I see the player that we got, he's a ball hawk. You watch some of his like highlights and he just makes plays. He's there, you know. And then when you come from, you know, a team like that, I feel like you kind of have a championship pedigree about you. I think he's going to be a good culture guy. You see, he's already reaching out to, you know, Hardman and other. Hardman's the only one I've seen, but for him to just sign in Cleveland and he's automatically trying to recruit and bring guys that he knows that you got to figure are also coming from championship pedigree. I love it. I think it's a huge home run. You nailed it with home run pick.
And you signed a guy away from the Chiefs.
Yeah,
you know, they're the cream of the crop of the AFC, really of the NFL,
and in your conference.
Yes, in your conference. And you were able to make a pitch to this guy that said, hey, I know you've been to 3 Super Bowls and 5 AFC championships, but come play on our team. We can offer you something great. And he came to us. You know what I mean? So it's a great signing by the Browns and by Andrew Berry.
Yep.
So I got 2 stats real quick about him that you guys are going to like. He's played in 65 out of 66 career games.
Nice.
He's missed 1 game, and I don't think it was injury. I think they just sat out. I don't know. But he tore his ACL the last game of his rookie season, but got back on the field his sophomore season, never missed a game from it. Sure. And in his 4-year career, he's only had a total of 7 penalties.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's very
like
nice.
that.
Well, I'm sure that'll go up though because he's coming to the Browns and we get called for penalties. The Chiefs, I watched them play a lot of defense the last few years. There's a lot of jersey grabbing that didn't get called. But no, those are good stats because penalties kill the Browns. So bringing somebody who doesn't get a lot of penalties is huge. So then we're going to transition here into another signing by the Browns. Ogbo Okoronkwo, hopefully I'm saying that at least close to right. I don't want to butcher the guy's name too bad. Edge rusher, signed him from the Texans. The more I hear about the guy, the more I really like this signing. At first, I was like, well, one, I haven't really heard of this guy. I didn't watch a lot of Texans games. And then I looked up his stats quick, and I said 5 sacks. And I thought, well, so this is going to be a camp guy? And then I was like, no, these stats were in limited time. And then you start hearing about how he's top of the league in pass rush win rate, and he was even against double teams. He won, and it was like, okay, this is the kind of guy that you put opposite Miles, and you sign Dalvin Tomlinson in the middle to take pressure away. I think this guy is coming here to blossom in a Jim Schwartz defense, and it could end up being kind of a steal.
I like how confident he is too. Like everything that I've seen from him as soon as the signing was done, I'm seeing tweets where he's saying, you know, loading Super Bowl ring 2, stuff like, because he's from the Rams originally.
Yeah, so he's got
another guy, another championship guy, but young, really young. And like you said, Blake, I'm with you. I haven't seen a ton of this guy's tape at all. When we signed him, I honestly really had never even heard of him. I don't watch Texans games. I'm a big Cleveland Browns fan, so... You know, but man, the upside, there's a ton of upside. And I feel like he's just kind of starting to ascend. I don't think like he's played his best ball or that's what we're going to get with him is 5 sacks and, you know, whatever. I'm not saying he's going to go crazy and have 18 sacks or anything like that, but I just want like somebody that will step in. I feel like we always just have a guy that we bring in and we think he's going to do so well. Olivier Vernon, Clowney. And then it's it's always super disappointing, and it's always just an excuse. I don't want any more excuses. I just want players that will play.
I want a high motor guy opposite.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's going to really force you to pay attention to him. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's kind of what we're getting. What do you got anything about him, Josh? Any hidden stats? I know you've been doing all the research.
No, I don't have anything pulled up on him right now. I know we did the episode on Monday, kind of covering him a little more. So
this is the guy that had the really high pass rush win rate.
Yeah. Higher than Miles.
He was higher than Miles.
Higher than Miles. Probably a lot fewer double teams than Miles. But
Fair.
True.
That's actually double teamed a decent amount, I think, if I remember. Unless I'm confusing him. I thought he got doubled, not near as much as Miles, but
I was
still a decent amount.
On that one, because Miles has doubled like pretty much every play. But that's an exciting stat, though. I'm really excited to have this guy, too.
What I really like, too, is we added a defensive coordinator who has Super Bowl pedigree. We're adding a safety who has Super Bowl pedigree. We're adding an edge rusher who's got Super Bowl pedigree. We're adding guys who are in the primes of their career who have already done it at the highest level on the biggest stage. And I don't think that can be understated.
That's a really good point.
I agree.
Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Whatever is going on in your life, BetterHelp could be a great option for you. BetterHelp is convenient, flexible, affordable therapy that's custom built for you. And best of all, it's 100% online, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your home. And finding the right person is just as easy. Just fill out a short questionnaire, and it'll match you with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time, for any reason, at no additional charge. Look, we all have stuff we're carrying around. And finding someone that you can just talk to, a professional to just talk through it, it really, truly helps. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/dogs, DAWGS, today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/dogs.
So then the last guy that we have signed up to this point so far, not retained, is defensive tackle Maurice Hurst. And in terms of signings, I think this is the first one for the Browns that's kind of like we're taking a flyer on a guy from what I've seen. Not a ton of production yet, but he's kind of like a raw talent. He was a former second-round draft pick.
No, he's a fifth-round pick.
And are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I thought
every tweet I saw said he was a second-round pick, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, you might be right. Maybe I have him. No, it says fifth-round pick, 2018, out of Michigan.
Fifth-round, yep.
Oh, well, you can't believe Twitter.
You got to come to the Dawgs podcast to get the right information, guys, right?
Yeah.
I guess
so.
I do have some information on him when you guys are done here.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll say about him, just at a quick glance, kind of has an injury history. Last year, I think he was only in 2 games or something like that. But no.
The year before, last year, he missed the whole season. He tore his bicep in training camp.
Okay. So for me, that's the only concern. But I think you made a good point where you said that maybe this is just a guy that needs an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I might have been confusing him too, because we also signed Tristan Hill.
Correct. I believe he was a second
Tristan Hill might have been the second rounder. So I might have just got my defensive tackles mixed up a little bit. Which is terrible because I didn't even write Tristan Hill down because I'm pretty sure we just signed him when I was on my way home from work. So I really don't know anything about him other than the fake Twitter verse stuff I read.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Tristan Hill, I think, is going to be more of like a kind of just bringing in competition over the summer kind of guy to maybe push some people and see if he can take advantage of an opportunity. But Maurice Hurst, so like we said, his last 2 seasons injury riddled, but his first 3 years actually with the Raiders, he was a 71.4, 73.1, then to 77.9. He was getting better each year. He had 4 sacks in each of his first 2 seasons. And in 2019, he had this is the year, these are the stats in that year that get me excited about what he could do, Justin, like you said, potential. He had 38 total pressures, which was higher than Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Draymond Jones. His pass rush grade. Yeah, exactly. All the guys we wanted. And his pass rush grade was a 77.8, which put him at number 10 overall in the NFL at the defensive tackle position. So 2019, he showed he does have potential to be a stud.
So yeah, so when I said a camp guy, I was definitely talking about Hill. So
Right.
It's my fault. But yeah, I'm all the depth. It's like Andrew Berry got the memo. We've signed what now? 3 D tackles and an edge rusher. So I think last thing on the list now is let's go get McCole Hardman, and because Paris Campbell got taken up. I like McCole Hardman, and then let's get a linebacker maybe.
Yeah.
Plus, we still got the draft. It doesn't have to all be in free agency, but I'd like to see a short. Those are the last 2 positions I'd like to see us do something with.
Yeah.
So then before we go ahead and wrap this up, I did just want to touch on the guys that we kept. We have re-signed Pocic. We have re-signed cornerback AJ Green, and we have re-signed Sione Takitaki. Obviously, the big one out of that's Pocic. You re-signed the number 3 ranked center from last year at what I consider a pretty good price. And now you're rocking Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller, Pocic, and Batonio. If Jed Wills can just try, like we should have a top 3 offensive line as long as everybody can stay healthy. So, and it was good to see AJ Green. AJ Green just always plays solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's a big body defensive back. So I like that resigning. And then I like Takitaki resigning. I think he's got potential. And I think we were starting to see some of it last year before he got hurt.
Yep, definitely agree with that.
So, anything else you guys wanted to touch on? I'm pretty sure that's the only people so far through free agency.
Yeah, up until the time of this recording, that's what we've done. And I what do you guys think? I feel like so far, if you had to give him a grade, what would you give him, Andrew Berry?
So I don't want to be too crazy because I feel like there's a little bit of improving going on right now. Like we're looking at numbers over the last 5 years and we're like, and PFF, sometimes I feel like PFF doesn't paint an accurate portrait of what we see always. You know what I mean? We say, hey, this guy's 10 points higher than this guy. I want to say it. I'll just give it a B. I think I'm glad that we didn't go crazy. I know a lot of people freaked out the first night. I was starting to get nervous. I told my wife, I said, well, it looks like we're going to suck next year. We're not doing anything. We're just chilling. Looks like we're going to go watch them suck again this year. But I think that if I could say one thing about it, I feel like it's very calculated. I feel like he took everything that, was thrown from last year and he said, oh, hey, well, let's address that, but let's not overdo it. Right. We're going to pay value. You look at some of the PFF, like the predicted contracts, they're either pretty much real close or a little bit under that for what he's done so far. So yeah, I'm very cool with it.
I like that, Justin.
If I had to give us a grade, I would give us a B+.
Okay.
Because I do, I would give him an A, but a guy like we think Ogbo is a great signing, but it's a little unproven right now, and stuff like that. So that's why I'm giving it a B+ and not an A-, just because there is a little bit of unprovenness with maybe a player or 2 that we have signed. But like you said, the thing is, we came in with a plan. I feel like we've executed that plan basically about as well as you could. We didn't give Jesse Bates a crazy contract just because his name's Jesse Bates. We didn't give Hargrave a crazy contract just because his name's Hargrave. We came in with a plan. We had players identified who fit the system, who fit what Jim Schwartz wanted, and we got them for great prices. So B+, and if there wasn't some question marks on players as far in terms of being unproven, it would probably be an A-, but I'll give them B+ right now.
I think I'm with Justin. I'll go B. I think we filled a lot of the holes we need to fill. It's hard for me to give an A because I spend every offseason, every single year thinking that we did everything right. I'm super excited about everyone we pick up and everybody we draft. We're gonna watch this season. There's still gonna be some needs, that we didn't address. There's gonna be
and free agency is not done too, so it's hard. This is like a mid free agency period.
Oh, that's fair.
What's the grade for
see what happens?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see what happens after a few more days. See if we, if we add McCole Hardman, maybe I bump this up to an A.
I'll tell you what, if we trade for DeAndre Hopkins, I'll give it A+.
Yeah,
just throw everybody like, hey, if we go get somebody like that can complement the offense also, and then we're going into the draft, and then we're just I don't want us to just feel like we always have to like draft for, oh, we're in trouble, we need this or that. It'd be nice just to like take the best player available and just build a solid roster. You know what I mean? I feel like we're always like, oh, damn, this guy's leaving, so now we have a huge hole to address here. And we always are just, I know that's part of the deal, but I'd just love for once just to be like, hey, let's just take this guy. He's a great wide receiver or a tight end or something where we're picking, and it's not just, oh, we have to do this because we're held hostage by needs. Just my opinion.
No, it's good. But, well, that's pretty much it. That's hopefully we touched on everything you guys wanted to hear about. I know we've been overwhelming you with content all week, but tough.
Good job, Josh.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys being here with us for this kind of late week update. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the Browns free agency so far. I know we love getting the updates all the time. It's just like a fun part of the offseason. Let us know what you guys think of the Browns free agency so far. Drop us some thoughts in the comments. Make sure to leave us voicemails. Get your thoughts on the show. I forgot to mention in the open, thedawgspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. You can leave us intros, or you can just drop us your thoughts on free agent signings so far. We like getting your guys' thoughts. We like playing them. It makes the shows more fun, so go ahead and do that. Don't forget about the contest, so you can win yourself a free shirt. The earlier you get entered, the more chances you have to win throughout the year, so do yourself a favor and get entered early. And we will talk to you guys sometime probably early next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.